mid to late 80s mullet thing happening, and the mullet part got the party in the back got a little too long for George's tastes. And
Hey, Stacey, I'll say you this, though. If they ever want to change that rule, if a player ever wants that rule to get changed, all it takes is a great player to come out and do something against the rules.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
Stacey, fun weekend ahead. FanDuel Friday first, though.
Yeah, it's Friday again. It seems to happen so quickly every Friday. I say the same thing, but it's true. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. So coming up on today's show, Max Scherzer.
Weird.
We're going to talk about that in segment 3. But first, it's Fan Mail Friday. And if you're a regular, if you're an everydayer, you know that Fan Mail Friday is something we do every week. And every week we start with our insiders. And every week we start with Betty. And this is Betty's question. If you could put 2 players from the minors on the regular season roster today, before seeing them in spring training, who would it be?
That's an interesting question because the Yankees don't really have any top tier level minor leaguers right now that are necessarily major league ready at this point. I mean, I guess Spencer Jones, but I wouldn't even want to say that because I'd want him to, sometimes it's better to keep guys in the minors because you hide it a little more. You hide if they're poor performers or great performers yet. Their value immediately decreases once they play in the major leagues and struggle a little bit. I don't think I have a good answer for you. Honestly, Betty, I don't think anybody in the Yankees minor league system right now is worthy of being immediately promoted.
I say Peraza. That's the only one I want to see, just because I'm sick of them jerking him around.
Yeah, but he's made his major league debut already. Like, does she mean guys who are going to be in the minor leagues at the start of the year, or does she mean guys that haven't made their debut yet?
It doesn't say. So I'm just saying, because Peraza's mostly been in the minors, I'm saying that's
and he deserves an opportunity. But there's really no guy in the Yankee minor league system that immediately deserves. I guess you would have said Caleb Durbin, just because you would have wanted to see him and what he could do, but I don't think there's anybody in the Yankees system right now that could make an immediate impact that they called up.
Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Yes, Betty, thank you. Let's go to David F. He says, for Fan Mail Friday, in looking back to the most colorful Yankee years, what were some of your favorite George Steinbrenner ultimatums? Insiders rule. Yes, insiders do rule. Ultimatums. I don't know because I don't agree with the facial hair policy at all. Yeah, I don't like those. I don't know what. I mean, I guess if you want me to give you an obvious one, that must win. Everything's a must win. You always must win at all times. Winning is the most important thing. But I don't know what other major rules does he have that I'm forgetting about.
I just think the Mattingly haircut thing was hilarious.
When he went back and forth with Mattingly because his hair was too long, or didn't Mattingly get in trouble too because the mustache went too far below the lip too?
I think so. Yeah. But the hair thing was what I remember really well because Mattingly was like, because he had that mid to late 80s mullet thing happening, and the mullet part got the party in the back got a little too long for George's tastes. And
hey, Stacey, I'll say you this though: if they ever want to change that rule, if a player ever wants that rule to get changed, all it takes is a great player to come out and do something against the rules and force the Yankees' hand there.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
that's all it takes.
They've loosened it a bit because, I mean, they let Garrett Cole basically have a bob, which they never let guys have that much hair under their caps. So.
And if Aaron Judge shows up next year with a full beard, what are they going to do?
Do you think he can grow a beard? I feel like
Probably.
He can't. But I feel like he can't because everyone else grows them. Glaber grew one within 2 seconds of the offseason ending. Stanton grows it. Gary Sanchez used to grow one.
Well, I'll give you a better one because a guy that used to have a beard all the time and looked better with the beard, by the way, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole had a beard all the time. He has he rocks that scruffy look pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised because of how much money they were giving Garrett Cole that he didn't say, guys, could we loosen this up? It's been 50 years. It's been 50 years. Let's just.
Well, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a player having the quote unquote guts to come forward with the face shave and be like, no, I'm not shaving. What's Hal Steinbrenner going to do? Walk downstairs and make him shave?
Right.
That's not going to happen. It's going to take that one player. I don't know if that player's in the league right now, but I want that player to exist because I think the rule is dumb, to be honest with you.
Yep. Thanks for the question, David. And yes, insiders do rule. Speaking of insiders.
Do you want me to take this one?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
One of the long ones you don't like to usually do. I could do it for you if you like.
Okay. There we go.
Adam Cole says, greetings, Stacey and Brian. If you could pick a city or ballpark to watch a game, what would it be? I'm an Australian who's lived here in the U.S. for 10 years. I've watched games at Yankee Stadium, Camden Yards, Fenway Park, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, White Sox, Phillies, Mets, Nationals, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Cubs, Reds, Pittsburgh, San Diego, and San Francisco. Are there other ballparks that you recommend? Of those I've watched games at, Fenway and Wrigley were wonderful to visit. I saw Cole Hamels pitch a no-hitter at Wrigley Field in late July 2015. 6 weeks after I watched Max Scherzer pitch a no-hitter against the Pirates in Washington in June 2015. Thanks for a great podcast during the offseason. Adam, that's amazing that you saw 2 no-hitters in one season. That's crazy. How many stadiums has he been to? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I'm at 21.
That's more than me.
Yeah, so I've been to a couple more than him. One that I do see on here. Wow, I don't know the stadium that I'd give.
Dodgers.
I didn't think about this. Maybe Dodger Stadium was
Dodger Stadium. I would recommend that because I went in 2002 and, it's one of the older stadiums. It's been around for a really long time. They've renovated it a lot since 2002.
This year,
They're
too.
renovating it now. But I didn't really know anything about Chavez Ravine, and I didn't know the orientation of everything. And my friend's like, yeah, let's go through this entrance and you'll see when you walk in what I want you to see. And we walked in, we were at the top level behind home plate. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And our seats were in right field by the visitors' bullpen. And it was really great. And actually, Anaheim wasn't that bad. I went there too. That wasn't a bad stadium to go to. Although I was sitting in a very fancy suite. So
Dodger Stadium is amazing because when the way they built it, they dug into the ground. So literally, yeah, like as Stacey's saying, the entrance to the stadium is the last row of seats. So it's remarkable when you walk into the home plate entrance that you just see the mountains behind you. That's incredible. Wrigley, they've updated a million times since you've been. Adam, they like in 2015, they put like a $2 billion renovation into Wrigley. And there's a documentary online that's fascinating where they show you, Stacey, they tore out all of the stands in Wrigley Field and basically rebuilt the stadium from the inside out. So Wrigley, I know, is incredible. I can't think of the stadium on here that my favorite's Milwaukee, but he's already been there. I love going to games in Milwaukee. I can't think you know what? I would check out the new Texas stadium. I loved the new one in Texas. That one was really, really, really cool. Other than that, though, you've hit up all the major ones, right? Dodger for sure, you gotta check out, but San Diego's incredible. Milwaukee, I love that you've been to. St. Louis was great. Cubs is great. Phillies, I think, is underratedly amazing. So there's a lot of great stadiums. That's the best part about baseball, though. Every stadium's got its own personality. So definitely try and get to all of them.
Yep. Thank you for the question, and I'm jealous that you've been to all those places because I haven't. Next question. Insider Bobby Santoro asks, what was the best Yankee game you guys have seen in person? Give me one regular season and one postseason. For me, regular season was June 6, 2006, when Melky Cabrera robbed Manny's home run, the game-tying home run, and postseason was Game 4 of the 2017 ALCS.
I've got the same postseason one as him. That was the Sonny Gray game, the big comeback they had before heading back. That game was unbelievable. I still recall that game to this day, every day, like all the time. That game is amazing. The best regular season game I've been to is probably that big comeback that you remember that I never remember the game against Baltimore, Jacoby Ellsbury's grand slam. That game.
Yeah, Matt Halliday walking off.
Yes.
Let's see. I have a few favorite regular season games, but the one that I really liked was May 16th, 2006 against the Rangers. They were down 9-0 in the second inning. And I said to my brother, because I had gone the week before on a Tuesday night and they lost like 14-3 to the Red Sox. And I said, I'm never coming here on a Tuesday again. And he's like, Texas has no pitching. If the Yankees hold them to 10 or 11, they can come back and win this game. And I was like, and they did.
That's still a bold proclamation, though.
Oh, no. I mean, he said it in the third inning. He's like, they can come back and win this game. Texas has no pitching. I'm not worried. I'm like, okay, cool. Postseason, definitely, I say it all the time, game 4 of the 2001 World Series. Tino to tie, Jeter to walk off. I mean, you can't
it's hard
get
to beat
much
that. Yeah, the only World Series game that I went to was the Freddie Freeman debacle that happened last year. So that one doesn't get. I'm not going to add that one for the World Series, even though it's the World Series. I've been to a lot of playoff games at this point, though. Weirdly enough, one of the best regular season games that I've ever been to wasn't even a Yankee game. It was a Mets-Phillies game in Philly that Roy Halladay took a perfect game into the 7th. And Jose Reyes broke it up. That was one of the better games. Just to say I could have almost saw a perfect game pitch.
My brother was at a Mets-Phillies game at Citi Field. I think it was the first year Citi Field was open, and the Phillies ended the game on a triple play.
I remember that game, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, though, about that era of Phillies, Stacey, is we forget sometimes how good Roy Halladay was during that time period. I mean, he flirted with no-hitters all the time. All the time.
Yeah. Yes.
It was so incredible.
Thank you for that question. We are moving one insider question to segment 2 because we didn't have room for it, but don't worry, we'll get to it. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. And if you would like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, post a reply to our videos whenever they're posted Monday through Thursday, because Friday is too late. The days may vary during the off season, but we've been doing shows most of the days. And you start the question with Fan Mail Friday so I can find it, because we have a ton of questions and comments that don't pertain to Fan Mail Friday, and I don't want to get confused. You can ask us anything, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. As you can see, you get top priority. You're usually in segment 1, unless you guys ask so many questions, we have to push you back to segment 2. The link is in the description. It isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday.
In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect financial legacies and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy for you. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find a total of $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage up to $5 million with no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you'd think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 per month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote. They shop, you save.
Like I said, we had to move one insider question to segment 2. It is from Eric S. And he says, given Goldschmidt has a 1-year contract, who is the Yankees' first baseman of the future?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Neither do the Yankees. The Goldschmidt is a plug and play kind of thing for now. They're going to keep him there. It's either a trade. I don't think that guy's in the minor league system right now.
Yeah.
The only thing I can possibly think of potentially is they're gearing up to why their spending is stopped. They're gearing up to spend money on Kyle Tucker, throw him in the outfield next year, and then move Cody Bellinger possibly over to first base. That's all I'm thinking of, though. I don't. That's no sources have confirmed that or anything. But I don't know, honestly, and I don't think the Yankees know either.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Thank you for the question, Eric.
As we move over to our YouTube questions for the pod, Bo Sox has asked, would you ever do a Locked On Yankees and Locked On Red Sox episode to bring some fun to the rivalry again? I don't know. Yeah, we do it. I've never met Gabby. She hosts Locked On Red Sox. The only difference is, Stacey, I don't know if it would bring any juice to the rivalry because I don't know if we'd have her on and start fighting with her and creating bad blood.
Oh, yeah, no, because, I've been on with, let's see. I don't think I've been on Locked On Red Sox since she took over, but I was on her personal podcast a few years back. So I've known Gabby for a little bit. But I was on the previous iteration and then the previous iteration. So I've been on Locked On Red Sox. But yeah, when we do crossovers on Locked On, like some of the shows will try to goat you into fighting with them. Like Locked On Astros tried to get me to fight with them a few years back. But I don't fall for that stuff. And it's really like a love fest because even when we do like the American League East preview, we don't fight with each other. Like we're all really nice and cordial to each other. It's not it's
so
not
we
gonna
do
bring
one.
any juice.
We do one, but I don't know if it would bring any juice to the rivalry, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Bo Sox Eye. Also, thank you for watching our show because it's always crazy seeing Red Sox people watching our show. Next question from Marvy G23, which rhymes. Since Stacey just made the Hall of Fame, which former Yankee will be the next to make it?
I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, I think the next one to make it is on the current team.
Yeah, it's Aaron Judge if he plays a few more years and puts up these numbers. Next former Yankee, Garrett Cole, but that's in a decade when he gets in. Yeah, but there's no Yankee that definitively is getting in. I mean, Garrett Cole probably.
Cece's the last one for a while.
Yeah, Garrett Cole, I think he's the only guy on the team right now that could retire right now and get in. Oh, maybe Giancarlo Stanton too. But those are the oldest guys that have a chance of getting in immediately.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry, but you're gonna have to. If you want to go to Cooperstown and see a Yankee, you're gonna have to go this July, or else you're not gonna get to one. Stacey, next question is from Stavros8983. Hi, do y'all think the Yankees trade Grisham to free up some money and use Pereira as a fourth outfielder? It seems like the Stroman contract is causing them to not make a trade for an infielder. I disagree with both.
Right. Didn't they just sign Grisham? Or
so they gave Grisham a 1-year deal for $5 million.
Yeah.
Which isn't enough money, I think, to deter them from going out and getting someone else. And also Grisham only has $250,000 in incentives. So he really, at most that's costing them $5.25 million. It's not enough money to move the trigger. Stroman is enough, but I don't think the lack of moving Stroman is causing them to not make a trade for an infielder. I don't think those two things are related. And we discussed it a few days ago or a few weeks ago. The Stroman and the lack of a move is not necessarily a correlating thing because me and you both were kind of in understanding if they want to, they're looking for the right place to move Stroman to. And I don't think there's a rush necessarily, but I think they're going to be able to move Stroman. It just depends on where and who's going to eat the most salary. So I don't think there's a rush to move Stroman, but I don't think it's also stopping them from making a move.
Right. Thank you for the question, Stavros. Also, Opa from a fellow Greek. Next question from Craig M6474. How did you two end up hosting this podcast together? And is this your full-time job? I would just like to say, Craig, I liked a Craig M in high school who was born in 1974, though I can't remember when he was born in 1974,
Wow.
But I do know he's a Yankee fan, but I don't think this is him asking that question, but it would be really funny if it was. We ended up hosting the podcast together because I needed a co-host.
Yeah. And I was a sports radio host.
Yeah.
I was a sports radio host at WFAN. I was recommended. I went through a whole interview process and here we are. And Stacey's an OG. She's here from the start of Locked On Yankees. So,
pretty much. Within the first, I think it was around for maybe 5 months before I took over. So yeah.
Before the company was a big deal and stuff. So yeah, Stacey's an OG and I'm here to stay for a bit. So sounds like fun. This is not my full-time job.
Yeah, no, it's not mine either. I do some stuff on the side, writing, and I'm looking into editing for other people because I think it would be good practice for me to do that, and I'm getting better at it. And so if anyone needs me to edit videos for them, nothing too complicated, but if you need me to edit videos for you, get in touch with me because I would love to help you out.
Freddie CC5Y is the next guy. He says, why do you guys not consider Omar Vizquel a Hall of Famer? Here are some numbers, not bad for a defensive shortstop, listed at just 5'9". For many experts, the best defensive shortstop of the modern era. Second to just Ozzie Smith, 2,877 hits, 272 batting average, 404 stolen bases, 11 gold gloves, 3 All-Stars. Stacey, I'll let you take this one.
I don't know. I feel like all the people who are experts in Hall of Fame and in baseball and in stats and all that stuff don't see him as a Hall of Famer. Even with all
the
those numbers.
Numbers are decent though. They're not bad at all. And he wasn't a tremendous fielder, I know. I don't know. Nobody really talks about him in the Hall of Fame category though. No one even brings it up. It's an interesting one though. His numbers are impressive. Honestly, way closer to 3,000 hits than I thought he had. I'm surprised he didn't stick around longer to get there.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, experts, I trust the guys who crunch the numbers. So when they're saying he's not, I'm like, all right, okay, I guess so. Sounds good. All right, coming up next, one more Fan Mail Friday question. And the Yankees were looking at Max Scherzer. I forgot Max Scherzer was still playing. So they were looking at Max Scherzer. We're going to talk about that because that was something that was not on my bingo card.
From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered specifically for this weekend, championship weekend. So if you're looking to bet, this is the time to do it. In the NFL, we'll know our Super Bowl matchup before the next episode of Locked On Yankees. Just visit FanDuel.com to join and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Stacey, one last question from YouTube. It comes from Big Georgie 333, and the question is guided for you, so let me read it. Fan Mail Friday, Georgie says, I had asked this months ago. Totally understand if you don't want to answer it because of the nature of it. But anyway, Stacey, how did you get involved in the documentary 9 Inning from Ground Zero? How was your experience with it? And now looking back on it, what are your thoughts? Were you asked to be a part of the sequel? I still remember when this debuted on HBO 20 years ago. Still to this day, it's hard to watch. Thank you so much.
9 Innings from Ground Zero. No, I was not. I didn't even know there was a sequel. I think it came out for the 20th anniversary, but I wouldn't have expected to be in the sequel because I wasn't. Okay. How I got involved was I was on a message board years ago, and a woman from MLB started a thread and said, I'm a producer from MLB. We're looking to do a Yankees-Red Sox rivalry documentary. Right in here why you guys are big Yankee fans, and maybe we'll get some of you into the documentary. Now, keep in mind, this was early 2004, so it was before that ALCS and after the Aaron Boone ALCS. So I posted, and in my 6th paragraph of explaining why I was such a big Yankee fan, I mentioned the fall of 2001 and how going to playoff games helped me not recover, but help me not think of everything that was happening. And she sent me a private message and said, okay, it's amazing that you wrote about this because my friend is doing a documentary for HBO about that fall, about how baseball helped people heal. Would you want to talk to him? And I said, sure. I didn't think anything was going to come out of it. So I gave her my work number. I said, he has to call me after work. So like 5 o'clock. She's like, no problem. He can call you at the office at 5 o'clock. I said, all right. Calls me up on a Thursday. We're on the phone for 40 minutes. He's asking me questions. The last question is, would you like to talk about this on camera? And before he even finished the word camera, I said, yes. Yes, I would. So a few weeks later, the end of March 2004, I got picked up in a black car, driven down to Riverside Drive and about 111th Street. And I sat in this older woman's apartment, very big apartment that she rented out for lots of movies and shows and stuff like that. And they interviewed me for, I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour. Didn't remember anything I said. Didn't remember a thing. It was such a blur. I was nervous, but then I went back to my old performing arts training from college because I did take acting classes. And I thought to myself, I'm an actress on a junket. They're just asking me questions in front of a camera. It's no big deal. This is fine. And, leading up to it, I was afraid because I wasn't, I was an extra on Dawson's Creek, but I didn't wear makeup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't like I was in the background. Like, the camera wasn't on me. So I had a friend whose wife, may she rest in peace, she was Dave Letterman's makeup artist for years. I said, Tom, you have to have Michelle call me. I don't know what I'm doing with my face. I don't wear makeup. He's like, don't worry, calm down. I'll have her call you. She calls me up. She's like, don't go too crazy. Just lipstick, little foundation, rouge. She called blush rouge, and maybe some mascara. Don't go too nuts. I'm like, okay. And she said, and if you want to know how you look, tell them to show you what you look like in the monitor. I'm like, Michelle, I'm not J-Lo. I'm not going to be like, hey, I need to see what I look like in the monitor. And she said, no, don't worry. They're not going to have a problem with it. I didn't. I asked the producer's assistant if I looked okay. I'm like, do I look okay? She's like, yeah. She's like, you're freaking me out, though, because you look like one of my good friends from college and your mannerisms are similar to hers. I'm like, okay. So months later, they premiered the documentary in August of 2004. Like I said, I didn't remember half the stuff I said. Like, it's like when you do a podcast. Do you remember what you say on the show after you're done with it? Because I usually don't.
No, usually someone brings it up to me on social media afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, I said that? Okay. So I think I appear in it like, God, was it 7 minutes, 10 minutes? Like, but you hear my voice first. You don't see my face. And I heard my voice, and we're in a theater at the Natural Museum of Natural History. That's it. The Museum of Natural History. And I hear my voice and I fall to the floor and I hide behind the seat in front of me. And my best friend's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do I look like? She's like, you look fine. I'm like, okay. And I looked through and I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I look human. So I sat back up in the chair because you don't realize how big a movie screen is until your face is on one.
I guess so. Yeah. Jeez.
Okay. Because I was like, oh God, oh no, that's terrible. Okay. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm in it. There I was. There's my 2-second. I was in that thing 7 different times.
It's a lot.
Throughout, for someone who didn't have a personal connection to 9/11, like there are a lot of people with personal connections to 9/11. I was just talking about how being at the games let me forget about all the bad stuff that was happening. You didn't have to hear about the bombings in Afghanistan. You didn't have to hear about the anthrax because I talked about the NBC anthrax things. I worked at NBC at the time, but they cut that out. But, that was all going on. So going to the games was a good 3-hour escape for me. And so that's how I got involved. And like I said, since I didn't have a personal connection to 9/11, they weren't going to ask me back for the 20th anniversary. And I didn't even know there was a sequel. I looked it up. I was like, oh, this aired like 3 years ago. I have to watch it and see how.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a sequel either. I've seen the original one. I didn't know there was a sequel either.
Yeah. So isn't it funny? You watched that and didn't know that you'd be hosting a podcast with me?
No, I didn't watch it at the time, though. I think I watched it in like 2010 or 11. I think I watched it the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah, because MLB Network used to show it all the time because I would get random messages on Facebook years after it aired. Are you the girl from 9 Innings from Ground Zero? And I'm like, how many Stacey Gotsulias do you think there are?
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, but I have to say, my parents were very proud because I was on HBO for a good reason, because back then HBO had some sketchy shows, and if you showed up on them, it wouldn't be a good thing. So at least I was on HBO for a good reason. But it was a really good experience. I love that I can say I was in an HBO sports documentary with Derek Jeter, Paul O'Neill, Buster Olney, Tom Verducci.
It's really cool.
Mark Grace spoke in that one. It was pretty amazing. So
it's really cool.
George W. Bush. I mean, he was in it too.
Well, I mean, listen, Stacey Gotsulias and George W. Bush, those names are synonymous with each other.
Apparently. But yes, that's how I got involved. And, message boards don't really exist anymore. But if they did, it was a good idea by the original person who was looking for people to do the Red Sox versus Yankee documentary I mean, the craziest Yankee fans were on message boards. And I will say this quickly. When I got out of the car, the producer and his assistant were waiting for me. And when I got out of the car, I was dressed to go to work because I called up where I said to work the day before. I said, look, they're interviewing me at like 8:30. They're like, don't worry about it. I said, okay. So I had a button down shirt on, dress pants, 4-inch heels. Like I was all dressed up for work. And I think because of the way I was talking on the phone about how big a fan, they were expecting me to look like this, like to have a hat on, to like be like a crazy, like wearing like a Yankee jacket and looking all nuts. And Joe was like, his name's Joe Levine. Stacey? I said, yes. He's like, and he looked relieved, like, oh, okay, good.
You're normal.
You're normal. Okay, good. So, yeah, it was an interesting experience. If you haven't seen it, I think there's still a copy of it on YouTube for free. It might be on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. But if you just look it up, 9 innings from ground zero, you'll find it. And I mean, even if I wasn't in it, it's a really good
It's great.
It's a really good documentary. Max Scherzer, pitching in front of scouts. Yankees had some guys there, and they liked how he looked.
Yeah, apparently he looked really good. I did see a report earlier today that the Mets are also interested in a reunion with him. I gotta remember his agent is Boris. So, this is a classic Boris thing of, all these teams are interested, but maybe no one's interested. We have no idea. I'm sure if he looks good, someone would sign him and give him a flyer, though. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Especially, the Mets perspective is great. I don't think there's much to the Yankees. The Yankees might have liked what they saw, but I don't think he's going to be a Yankee. We'll see. I wouldn't be interested in him from the Yankees perspective, though.
No, the Yankees have a pretty good rotation right now.
Yeah, and this is not Max Scherzer of old.
It is old, but it's not
old
of
Max
old.
Scherzer, but not of for sure. So I don't think the Yankees are going to be interested. Maybe the Mets, but I don't. Everyone said it looked good, but again, it's Boris, so he's going to say people are interested if no one's called.
Right. So, that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees, the Fan Mail Friday. Every Friday we do it, and everydayers know that we do it. Insiders know that we do it. And if you're a newbie, like we said earlier in the show, Monday through Thursday, if you're on YouTube, just comment below, lead it off with Fan Mail Friday, and ask your question. And since we're in the off season, it could be about anything. Obviously, baseball's fine, but if you want to ask us personal questions, feel free. It's fine. And the other thing is, we have, I think, 2 more full weeks where we're supposed to do 3 days a week, but we've been doing more. But technically, our off season ends the week of February 9th, I believe is the date. So 2 more weeks, and we're back to 5 days a week reporting about spring training. It's almost here, guys.
You can taste it.
It's almost here. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you next week.